Hello and welcome back to theCUBE's coverage of AWS Executive Summit at reInvent 2021. I'm John Furrier, host of theCUBE. This segment is about surviving and thriving with the digital revolution that's happening, the digital transformation that's turning into and changing businesses. We got two great guests here with Guardian Life, Nick Volpe, CIO of individual markets at Guardian Life, and Kim Gully, CTO of Life and News at Accenture. Accenture obviously doing a lot of cutting edge work, Guardian changing the game. Nick, thanks for coming on. Kim, thanks for coming on.
Thanks, John. Good to be here.
So before I get into the questions, I want to just set the table a little bit. The pandemic has given everyone a mandate. The good projects are exposed, the bad projects are exposed. Everyone can kind of see what's happening because of the pandemic's forced everyone to kind of identify what's working, what's not working, what to double down on. Innovation for customers is a big focus, but now with the pandemic kind of relieving and coming out of it, the world's changed. This is an opportunity for businesses. Nick, this is something that you guys are focused on. Can you take us through what Guardian Life's doing kind of in this post-pandemic changeover as cloud goes next level?
Yeah, thanks, John. So, the immediate need in the pandemic situation was about the new business capability. So those familiar with insurance, traditionally, life insurance underwriting, disability underwriting is very in-person, fluids, labs, attending physician statements. And when March of 2020 broke, that all came to an abrupt halt, right? Doctors' offices were either closed, testing centers were either closed or inundated with COVID testing. So we had to come up with some creative ways to digitize our new business, adopt e-application and adopt our e-medical questionnaires, and also get creative on some of our underwriting standards that put us at certain limits and certain levels and when we needed fluids. So we went pretty quickly. We're agile about decisions there. And we moved from about a 40 to 50% adoption rate of our electronic applications to north of 98% across the board. In addition, we kind of saw some opportunities for product and more capabilities beyond new business. So after we weathered the storm, we started to take a step back and, like you said, look at what we were doing, kind of have a start, stop, continue conversation internally to say, this digitization is a new norm. How do we meet it from every angle, not just our new business, right? And that's where we started to look at our policy administration systems, moving more to the cloud and leveraging the cloud to its fullest extent versus just a lift and shift.
Kim, I want to get your perspective at Accenture. I've done a lot of interviews with the past, I think, 18 months. A lot of use cases with Accenture, almost in every vertical, where you guys are almost like the firefighters get called in to help out, because the cloud actually now is an enabler. How do you see the impact of the pandemic reverbing through? I mean, obviously you guys come to the table, you guys bring in, what's your perspective on this?
So yeah, it's really interesting. I think the most interesting fact is, we talk about, Nick raised such a strong area in our business of underwriting and how can we expedite that. There's been talk on the table for a number of years, but the industry has been very slow or reluctant to embrace, and the pandemic became it became an enforcer in it, to be honest. And a lot of the companies were thinking about it prior, but that's it. They were thinking about it. I mean, even Accenture, we launched a huge 3-year investment to get clients into cloud and digital transformation, but the pandemic just expedited everything. Now, the upside is clients that were in a well-advanced stage of planning, they were easily able to adopt. But clients that weren't were really left behind. So we became very, very busy just supporting the clients that didn't have as much forethought as the likes of Guardian, et cetera.
Nick, he brings up a good point. I want to get your reaction to see if you agree. I mean, people who didn't put their toe in the cloud or just jump in the deep end really got flat-footed when the pandemic hit because they weren't prepared. People who were either ingratiated in with the cloud or having active projects or even being full deployments in there did well. What's your take on that?
Yeah, the enablement we had and the gift we were given by starting our cloud journey in, I want to say 2016, 17, was we really started moving to the cloud. And I think we were the only insurer that moved production load to the cloud. At that point, most of insurers were putting their development environments, maybe even their SIT environments. But Guardian had a strategy of getting out of the data center, moving to a much more flexible, scalable environment and architecture using the AWS Cloud. So we completed our journey into the cloud by 2018, 19, and we were at the point of really capitalizing versus moving. So we were able to move very quickly, very nimbly when the pandemic hit, or in any digital situation. We have that flexibility and capacity that AWS provides us to really respond to our customers and our customers' needs. So we were one of the more fortunate insurers that were well into our cloud journey and at the point of optimization versus the point of moving.
All right, so talk about the connection with Accenture's life insurance and annuity platform, also known as ALIP, I think the acronym is. What was that, why was that relevant? What was that all about?
Yeah, so I'll go first, and then Kim, you can jump in and see if you agree with me. So
he's Accenture, he'll totally love it.
Yeah. Yeah, you would suspect he would, right, John?
Yeah.
So, like I said, our new business focus was the original, like the emergency situation when the pandemic hit. But as we went further into it and realized the mortality and morbidity and the needs and wants of our customers, which is a major focus of Guardian, really having the client at the center of every conversation we have, we realized that there was a real opportunity for product. And as product continued to change, and you had regulations like 7702 coming out where you had to reprice the entire portfolio to be able to sell it by January 1 of 2022, we realized our current systems are, for policy admin, we're not matching our digital capabilities that we had moved to the cloud. So we embarked on a very extensive RFP to Accenture and a few other vendors that would come to the table and work with us. And we just really got to a place where combination of our desire to be on the cloud, be flexible, and be capable for our customers, married really well with the knowledge, the industry knowledge, and the capabilities that Accenture brought to the table with the Alip platform. Their book of business, their current infrastructure, their configuration versus development, really all aligned with our need for flexible, fast, time to market. We're looking to cut development times significantly. We're looking to cut testing time significantly. And as of right now, it's all proving true. Between the cloud capability and the Alip capability, we are reaping the benefits of having this new platform coming up and live very soon here.
Before I get to Accenture's perspective, I want to just ask you a quick follow-up on that, Nick, if you don't mind. You basically talk us through, okay, I can see what's happening here. You get with Accenture, take advantage of what they got going on, you get into the cloud, you start getting the efficiencies, get the cultural change. What refactoring have you seen? What's your vision, I should say? What's your vision around what's next? Because clearly there's a playbook. You get in the cloud, you re-platform, you get the cultural fit, you understand the personnel issues, how to tap the resources. Then you got to look for innovation where you can start changing how you do things to refactor the business model.
Yeah, so I think that, specifically to this conversation, that's around the product capability, right? So for all too long, the insurance companies have had three specific sleeves of insurance type products. We've had individual life, we've had individual disability, and we have individual annuities, right? Each of them serving a specific purpose in the customer's lives. What this platform and this cloud platform allow us to do is start to think about, can we create the concept of a single wrapper? Can we bring some of these products together? Can we centralize the buying process? And with Alip behind the scenes, you don't have that, I kind of equate it to building a Ferrari and attaching a trailer to it, right? And that's what we were doing today. Our digital front ends, our new business capabilities are all being anchored down or slowed down by our traditional mainframe back ends. By introducing Accenture on the cloud in AWS, we now have our Ferrari fully free to run as fast as it can versus anchoring this massive, trailer to it. So it really was a matter of bringing our product innovation to our digital front end innovation that we've been working on for 2 or 3 years prior.
I mean, this is the kind of the Amazon way, right? You decouple things, you decompose, you don't want to have a drag. And with containers, we're seeing companies look at existing legacy in a way that's different. Could you talk about how you guys look at that, Nick, internally? Because a lot of CIOs are saying, hey, you know what, I can have the best of both worlds. I don't have to kill the old to bring in the new, but I can certainly modernize everything. What's your reaction to that?
Yeah, and I think that's our exact path forward, right? We don't feel like we need to boil the ocean, right? We're going after this surgically for the things that we think are going to be most impactful to our customers, right? So legacy blocks of business that are sitting out there that are completely closed, they're not our concern. It's really hitching this new Alip capability to the next generation of products, the next generation of customer needs. Understanding data capture is very important, right? So if you look at the mainframes and what we're living on now, it's all about the owner of the policy. You lose connection with the beneficiary or the insured. What these new platforms allow us to do is really understand the household around the products that they're buying, right? I know it sounds simple, but that data architecture, that data infrastructure on these newer platforms and in the cloud, you can churn it faster, you have scale to do more analysis, but you're also able to capture in a much cleaner way. On the traditional systems, you're talking about what we call intimately the blob on the mainframe that has your name, your first name, your last name, your address, all in one free form field sitting in some database. It's very hard to discern. Yeah. on these new platforms, given our need and our desire to be deeper into the client's lives, understanding their needs, Alip coupled with AWS, with our new business capabilities on the front end, really puts together that true customer value chain that's going to differentiate us.
Kim, okay, CTO of Alip, as he calls it, that's the acronym for the service you have. This is a great example. I hate to use the word on-ramp because that sounds so old, right? But in a way, in vertical markets, you're seeing the power of the cloud because the data and the AI could be freed up and you can take advantage of all the heavy lifting by providing some platform or some support with Amazon, your expertise. This is a great use case of that, I think. And I think, this is, I think, a future trend where the developments can be faster, that value can be faster, and your customers don't have to build all the lower level abstractions, if you will. Can you describe the Accenture relationship to your customers as you guys, because this is a real great use case.
Yeah, it is. Our philosophy is simple. Let's not reinvent the wheel. And with cloud and native services that AWS provide, we want to focus on the business of what the system needs to do and not all the little side bits. We can get a great service that's fully managed, that has security patches, updates. We want to focus on the real deal. Like Nick wants to focus on the business and not so much what's underneath it. That's my problem. I'm focusing on that. And we all work together in a nice little gel. You've heard the relatively new term, no code, low code. It's strange. A modern system like Alip has been that way for a number of years. Basically, it means I don't want to make code changes. I just want to be able to configure. So now more people can have access to make change. And we can even get it to the point where it's the people that are sitting there dealing with the clients. That would be the ultimate, where they can innovate and come up with ideas and try things because we've got it so simple. We're not there yet, let's be realistic, but that's the ultimate goal. So Alip, the low code, no code, has been around for quite some time. And maybe we should take advantage of that. But I think we're missing one thing. So as good as the platform is, the cloud, moving in, encapsulating native services, using the built-in security that comes with all that, and extending the function, and then being able to tap into, the insurtech, fintech, Internet of Things, and quickly adapt. I think the partnership is big. Okay, it's very strong part of that success. So you can have the product, but without the people that work well together, I think it's also a big challenge. All programs have their idiosyncrasies, and there's a lot of challenges along the way. There's one really small, simple example I can use. I'd say Guardian is one of our industry's market leaders when they approach the security. They really do lead the way out there. They're very strict, very responsible, which is such a pleasure to see. But at the end of the day, you still need to run a business. So, because we're a partnership and because we all have the same challenges and we all want to get to success, we were able to work together quite quickly. We planned out the right approach that maximizes security, but it also progressed the business. And we applied that into the overall program. So I think it is the product, definitely. I think it is everything Nick said and you actually elaborated on, but I'd like to point out there's a big part of the partnership to make it a success as well.
Yeah, great call out there. Nick, let's get your reaction on that because I want to get into the customer side of it. This enablement platform is kind of the new, this platform's been around for a while, but the notion of buying tools and having platforms are now interesting because you have to take this kind of low code, no code capability. You still got to code. There's some coding going on, but what it means is ease of use, composing and being fast. Platforms are super important. That requires real architecture and partnership. What's your reaction?
Yeah, so I think, I'll tie it all together between AWS and Alip, right? And here's the beauty of it. So we have something called Launchpad where we're able to quickly stand up an Alip instance for development capabilities because of our Amazon relationship. And then to Kim's point, we have been successful 85% or more of all the work we've done with an Alip is configuration versus code. And I'd venture to say 90%. So that's extremely powerful when you think about the speed to market and our need to be product innovative. So if our developers and even our analysts that sit on the business side could come in and quickly stand up a development environment and start to play with actuarial calculations, new product features and function, and then spin that to a more higher end development environment, you now have the perfect coupling of a new policy administration system that has a flexibility and configuration with a cloud provider like Amazon and AWS that allows us to move quickly with environments. Whereas in days past, you'd have to have an architecture team come in, stand up the servers, and I'm going way back, but like buy the boxes, put the boxes in place and wire them down. This combination of Alip and AWS has really brought a new capability to Guardian that we're really excited about.
I love that little comparison. Let me just quickly ask you, compared to the old way, Give us an order of magnitude of pain and timing involved versus what you just described as standing up something very quickly and getting value and having people shift their intellectual capital into value activities versus undifferentiated heavy lifting.
Yes, I'll give you real dates, right? So we really engaged with Accenture on the Alip program right before Thanksgiving of last year. We had our environment stood up and running, all of our environments, dev, sit, UAT, up by February, March timeframe on AWS. And we are, about to launch our first product configuration into the Alip platform come November. So within a year, we've taken arguably decades of product innovation from our mainframes and built it onto the Alip platform on the Amazon cloud. So I don't know that you can do that in any other type of environment or partnership.
That's amazing. That's just great example to me of where cloud scale and real refactoring and business agility is kind of plays out. So congratulations. I got to ask you now on the customer side, you mentioned you guys love providing value to the customers. What is the impact to the customer? Okay, now your customer, Guardian Life's customer. What's the impact of them? Can you share how you see that rendering itself in the marketplace?
Yeah, so clearly AWS has rendered tons of value to the customer across the value stream, right? Whether it be our new business capability, our underwriting capability, our ability to process data and use their scale. I mean, it just goes on and on about the AWS, but specifically around Alip, the new API environment that we have, the connectivity that we can now make with the new backend policy admin systems has really brought us to a new level, whether it be repricing, product innovation, responding to claims capabilities, responding to servicing capabilities that the customer might need. We're able to introduce more self-service. So if you think about it from the back-end policy admin going forward to our client portal, we're able to expose more transactions to self-serve. So minimize calls to the call center, minimize frustration of hold times, and allow them to come onto the portal and do more and interact more with their policies because we're on this new, more modern cloud environment and a new, more modern policy admin. So we're delivering new capabilities to the customer from beginning to end being on the cloud with Alip.
Okay, final question. What's next for Guardian Life's journey here with Accenture? What's your plans? What do you want to knock down for the next year? What's on your mind? What's next?
So that's an easy question. We've had this roadmap plan since we first started talking to Accenture, at least I've had it in my head. We want off all of our policy admin systems for new business come end of 2025. So we've got about 4 policy admin systems maintaining our different lines of business, our individual disability, our life insurance, and our annuities. 4 systems that are kind of weighing us down a little bit. We have a glide path and a roadmap with Accenture as a partner to get off of all of these for new business capability by end of 2024. And that's, I'm being gracious to my teams when I say that I'd like to go a little bit sooner. Yeah. And then we begin to migrate the most important blocks of business that cause the most angst and most concern with the executive leadership team, and then, complete the product. But along the way, given regulation, given new customer needs, meeting the needs of the customer's changing life, we're going to have parallel tracks, right? So I envision we continue to have this flywheel turning of moving, but then we begin another flywheel right next to it that says we're going to innovate now on the new platform as well. So ultimately, John, next year, if I could have my entire whole life block as it stands today on the new admin platform, and 1 or 2 new product innovations on the platform as well by the 3rd quarter, 4th quarter of next year, that would be a success as far as I'm concerned.
Awesome, you guys are all planned out. I have such a passion for how technology powers business, and this is such a great story for next gen, kind of where the modernization trend is today and kind of where it's going. So Nick, appreciate it. Kim, thanks for coming on with Accenture. Nick, it's such an easy question for you. I have to ask you another one since I got you here. You guys are doing a lot of great work. For other CIOs out there that are going through this right now, whatever they are on the spectrum, missed the cloud wave, getting in now, this notion of refactoring and then replatforming and then refactoring business is a playbook we're seeing emerge. People can get the benefits of going to the cloud, certainly for efficiency, but now it opens up the aperture for different kinds of business models with more data access, with machine learning. This refactoring seems to be the new hot thing where the best minds are saying, wow, we could do more, even more. What's your vision? How would you share those folks out there, other CIOs? What should they be thinking? What's their approach? What advice would you give?
Yeah, so a lot of the mistakes we make as CIOs is we go for the white hot core first, right? We went the other way. We went for the newer digital assets. We went for the stuff that wasn't as concerning to the business. Should we fall over? Should there be an outage? Should there be anything, right? So if you avoid the white hot core and prove it with your peripherals, easier moves to the cloud, portals, broker portals, beneficiary portals, simple, AIX frames moving to the cloud, making them cloud native, new builds, right? So we started with all those peripheral pieces of the architecture, and we avoided the white hot core because that's where you start to get those very difficult conversations about, I don't know if I'm ready to move. And I don't see the obvious benefit of moving a dividend generating policy admin system to the cloud. Like, why? When you prove it in the pudding and you put the other things out there and prove you can be successful, the conversation to move your core and your white hot core out to the platform, out to leverage the cloud and to leverage new admin platforms, it becomes a much easier conversation because you've kind of cut your teeth on something much less detrimental to the business should it go awry.
What's the old expression? Put water through the pipes, get some reps in, get the team ready, spring training, whatever metaphor you use. That's what you're essentially saying there. Get your sea legs, get practice.
Exactly.
And then go for the hard stuff.
Right.
It's such a valid point, John. It's, we see a lot of different approaches across a lot of different companies. And the biggest challenge is the core is the biggest part. And if you start with that, it can be the scariest part. And I've seen companies trip up big time, become such a bubble spend, which really knocks you on for years, lose confidence in your strategy and everything else. And you're only as strong as your weakest link. So whether you do the outside first or the inside first, from a weakest link until the journey's complete, you're never going to maximize. So it was a very different and new and great approach that they took by doing a learning curve around the easier stuff and then hitting the core.
Yeah, well, that's a great point. One quick follow-up on that is that talk about the impact to the personnel, Kim and Nick, because there's a morale issue going on too. There's a training, I won't say training, but there's not reskilling, but if you're refactoring, you are reskilling, you're doing new things. The impact to morale and confidence. If you're not confident, you get certainly in the white, you don't want to be in the white core unconfident.
Maybe I should go first because it's Nick's staff, so he probably might want to say a lot. What we see with a lot of insurance companies, they grow through acquisition, okay? They're very large companies, grown over time, buying companies with businesses and systems and bringing it in. They usually bring tenure staff. So getting the staff to the next generation, those staff are extremely important because they know everything that you've got today, and they're not so au fait with what's coming up in the future. And there is a transition, and people shouldn't feel threatened, but there is change, and people do need to adopt and evolve, and it should be fun and interesting. But it is a challenge at that turnover point on who controlling what, and then you get the concerns and people get paranoid. So it is a true HR issue that you need to manage through.
Nick, you're the final word here. Go for it.
Yeah, John, I'll give you a story that I think will sum the whole thing up about the excitement versus contention we see here at Guardian. I have a 50-year veteran on my legacy platform team, and this person is so excited, got themselves certified in Amazon, and is now leading the charge to bring our mainframes onto Alip, and is one of the most essential. And I've actually had Accenture tell me, if I had a person like this on every one of my engagements, who is not only knowledgeable of the legacy, but is so excited to move to the new, I don't think I'd have a failed implementation. So that's the kind of Guardian, the kind of backing Guardian's putting behind this, right? We are absolutely focusing on rescaling. We are not going to the market. We're giving everyone the opportunity, and we have an amazing take-up rate. And again, like I said, 50-year veteran who probably could have retired 10 years ago is so excited, re-educated themselves, and is now a key part of this implementation.
Hey, who wouldn't want to drive a Ferrari when you see it come in, right? I mean, apart from that in the trailer.
Exactly.
Great story. Nick, thank you for coming on. Great insight. Kim, great stuff for Accenture. As always, a great story here. We're at the heart of the real focus where all companies are feeling right now. We're surviving and thriving and coming out of the pandemic with a growth strategy and a business model powered by technology. So thanks for sharing the story. Appreciate it.
Thanks, John. Appreciate it.
Okay, it's theCUBE coverage of AWS Executive Summit at reInvent 2021. I'm John Furrier, your host of theCUBE. Thanks for watching.